Good evening and welcome to Edessa the Dark Crusade Season 2. Tonight we are in Madeline's humble abode within the city of Edessa. Troll's been sleeping. This is Madeline. The two of them had a little bit of um, training, teaching done last night. And Troll's been sleeping as he does most nights. In a fairly comfortable bed, which isn't something he's necessarily used to, but I'm guessing he's getting used to it now. As Torvald is sleeping in, well, I don't know if he likes to sleep in underwear or armor or whatever. Regardless, he's lying there, and he awakens at some point during the night. And as he begins to blink awake, he will notice that Madeline is just sitting in the room. She seems to be dressed, and she seems to just watch him for the moment. You will hear her just as you probably sit up, and she will just say, "Good evening."
He sits up slowly, sort of feels the hunger gnawing at him a little bit, as often is the case. And he adjusts and looks over to her. Is the room dark or is it lit?
It's fairly dark. There's like a candle or two. No, actually, there wouldn't be any light. No, it's dark.
He looks in the direction of where her voice came from. And he says, "Good evening, my lady."
Hmm. Sleeping where?
Well, much better recent.
That is good to hear.
He climbs out of the bed. He's wearing kind of like what would qualify as medieval underwear. I suppose there's some sort of like loin type thing.
Hmm.
Uh, and he will softly approach the direction he guesses that she is.
Hmm. Closer.
He takes a few steps closer.
Hmm. Closer still.
He gets closer until he's at the point where she sat in a chair, isn't she?
She is.
He's aware that there's an object, and he, because of the height difference, I think more or less, he'll go into sort of he'll go down onto his knees, and then he'll slide his hands sort of inside the chair so that they can be in contact.
Hmm. She doesn't stop him. The hands will touch. Probably her legs, her stomach, and she just Ah, I do not believe you can get any closer. Hmm. And she just, um, she'll just say, "Is there anything particular you would start with as of teachings tonight? I have quite some time tonight to it."
There's a pause. You wish to continue with your lessons or with mine?
Hopefully both. Remember when I tell you that you can teach me about as much as I can teach you. Well, I can perhaps teach you a little bit more, given the fact that I have been, well, of the blood for quite some time longer than you, but still, you have seen many other things that I do not know of.
You must have something in mind, as you do not normally sit and wait for me to wake up. A question presses you, a thought.
Well, more than one, but, well, I merely. She just gets up. I must say, I must ask you, can you put on your normal clothing? You are a little distracting.
He smiles and sort of or fumbles around for where the clothes are because it's pitch black, and unless he turns on his night vision, he cannot see anything. Um,
Oh, I apologize. Oh, you have not fit. I am. And she gets up and lights a candle. And I was. I apologize. I forget myself.
I can, but I find the changing of light in that state difficult to deal with. It's not the same.
Hmm. Well, I am somewhat accustomed to the light. And as you probably you get a better look at her as the candle lights up. There is no white in her eyes. Her eyes are like completely just a black orb. It's just completely black, and it looks a little odd, to say the least.
He looks for a few seconds, but then he goes about. The clothes are sort of variously strewn, so he collects them piece by piece and is able to armor himself very quickly.
Hmm. Well, our little discussion when you learned that I intend to go into the catacombs, you seem to, well, have thoughts of your own. I did not wish to force you to tell them in front of the company there, but I wish to hear what you think. Or did you already say what you thought?
I did not say because it is not my place to question you in front of others. And nor is it my place to question your personal strengths. I have no doubt that you are capable of dealing with more situations than I can imagine, but
You still have concerns.
he turned his gaze away slightly.
She just stands there, and she has a smile on her face. Do you not wish me to do it? Are you afraid for my safety, or do you wish to be the one standing in the way of the hordes of rats? I wonder.
He nods. I do fear for you.
It is a curious thing. A slave that is more noble than many knights that I have seen.
He again, he has his sort of eyes low. Almost his, but you notice that his body language is tense, like a way that you would flinch. He doesn't flinch, but he does. He looks like he's anticipating something that you might do or say. But it seems organic. It seems like a natural reaction.
Hmm. I am so happy that I chose this. Please, come with me. And she will pick up the candle. Um, you don't see any of the servants or few servants she has as you head down. And, well, you don't head down, but you head to the, you don't head to the small room in the basement, which you saw before, but you don't go to this storage area, and she just, walks in, and she, just looks and just says, well, since you will be teaching me how to better weigh the blows, I think it is only fair that I show you how to deliver blows. And to believe that putting more powers of the blood behind a warrior like you will only be a good thing.
I fear I may need to eat first, as I cannot guarantee control.
Hmm, that is right. That is true. And do you wish to hunt outside the city, or?
It takes time away. But it seems that I may be forced to, under circumstances.
Well,
What about yourself? Have you fed?
a little. Well, yesterday I had some. I do know, I still have some in my blood. Some of it.
Then
She just looks at you and just, well, I do have a little. It is some of my last. I was saving it for a rainy day, but
he shakes his head. Allow me to perform you a service.
pardon?
He says, allow me to perform you a service.
She just looks at him a bit quizzically.
I will bring you prey.
That is not. That is will not be required. And please stay here a moment. And she will go. Well, she will just go to. Well, go outside, and she will return with a bottle. And she will give it to you. Please, drink.
He looks at her for a moment as if she's handed him something alien.
It is substance.
He looks at her again as if sort of like she may be tricking him. He very slowly lifts it to his lips.
It is human blood.
He starts to drink.
There
But
is, I think, 2 blood points worth.
his eyes are very firmly fixed on her without, as if like he would suddenly drop the bottle if she said so.
He just waits until he's drunk the whole thing, and she just feel better.
Much.
Well, that is good. Feeding can take so long these nights. With all the trouble, we should keep ourselves sated as much as possible, of course. She doesn't seem to think too much of it. Just kind of. Well, it seems fairly normal for her. And she just. Well, with that, I think we should begin. And she will begin to. She will. I'll just say. What you have taught me and what you have told me is that the blood will. You must move with the body, and it is kind of the same with what I know as potence. You must almost force the blood to go with your strikes, to almost let it flow in your leg, your arm, your hand, whatever you are applying pressure with. However, one thing is talking, teaching, the two of us beating at each other. She smiles, which is always a bit fun. But one thing we have not discussed. These teachings. I will not force a blood bond on you. When I said I wanted to taste your strength, I meant it not in a literal way. I do not wish to taste your blood. I do not wish to, for you, to be bound by me, or I by you. Do you understand why?
He nods.
Tell me, why do I not wish this?
It is a loyalty forced, not given.
Exactly. And more importantly, you must do, you must learn what I learn you, and I must learn from you willingly. If you are told by me to simply do something, and the blood will compel you to do it, there is no teaching in it. And likewise you with me. If there is at some point you would wish for us to share blood, we can talk of it. But it is something I do not do unless, well, certain teachings require blood to be shared. Without it, you cannot. No, there's certain things that you cannot learn. That is a sacrifice I am willing to make, but I hope you understand this.
He takes a few steps towards her, sort of closing, not completely closing the distance, but he closes it sort of enough. I would not need a single drop of your blood for you to compel me to do anything.
Well, I know that I am vexing and, well, compelling to some people, but I am a bit surprised. Meh, perhaps not that much. She smiles to you. She says, why? It's always good to know. Mm.
If we do share blood at any stage, I would see it as a gift, not a contract.
Good. I try to avoid this. It interferes with one's choices, one's decisions, which are sometimes one of the most important things to separate us from the beast. The beast does not make choices, it follows its instincts. It is bound by them.
I may not strike you as a man who has lived my life much by choice. However, I've chosen to be here. I've chosen to take this path with you, wherever it may lead. There is one anomaly in this situation that is out of my control. But it'll probably make the path more interesting.
Hmm. Undoubtedly. Have you spoken to her lately?
My sire is not the complication.
Oh, What complication would you then think of?
My sire has my sire and I's relationship is very simple. My feelings towards our relationship is not. An interesting lesson.
She smiles and she just nods at you, saying this. She just seemed to consider it for a little while. She'll just say, complicated things. We do not have a simple relationship. That much is obviously certain. But unless very many who know each other have a tendency to inflict physical mm, strain on the other. Do you? She looks at him. She pauses.
The longest pause ever.
Yes, and she doesn't say anything. She just stands there. She seems to be kind of struggling with whether or not to say what she's thinking. And gain
he
that much.
he's looking at her like rather intently. He doesn't but also curiously, like he's waiting for her to finish her sentence.
I will do a thing. Let's do a thing. Do a thing. She will activate all specs. Oh, wow. Okay.
A
That's
million successes, apparently.
4 successes. She is using aura perception,
Mm-hmm.
and
Uh, you're gonna have to remind me what the questions are.
yeah. But she will just look at him, stare at him, or quite intently. If the two of us would work together to break the blood bond between you and your sire, would you welcome that?
Yes.
And I will just. I am guessing that it is a mixture of certain things, right?
Um. It was. I mean, remind me of the questions. Obviously, he's a vampire.
Yeah,
Um.
but it's. I think it's 3 or 4, so it's a mixture of certain things, but it's
I know
just
it's nature. It's like
no,
nature of creature,
no, no. It's aura perception, so it's just colors,
colors. The most
emotional colors.
um the most dominant color at the moment, until you ask that question. Like as soon as you turned it on, the most dominant color that you got from him would be what you associated with passion, um, or enamored, enamored, sort of amorous.
Hmm?
When you ask about his sire, it does fade into a sort of deeper red with a. You can tell there's a mixture there. Obviously, the blood bond does sort of make him go. Um, he's not gonna hurt her. He won't kill her, and that's. So there's a defensive sort of.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, he seems to answer honestly.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah.
Um, as she sees that, she just nods and she says, "Well, then that bit will be one of my lessons to you. Freedom. Of course, I will. We should not say anything to her, but you have deserved freedom, especially when she has not seen fit to learn from what she has. She has not even, as far as I can see, acknowledged that you are perhaps more knowledgeable, more powerful than she is in a certain way. Perhaps not in the way of the blood, but at least very likely in experiences, in inner strength.
I understand that survival is about evolution, constantly learning, adapting, becoming broken, learning again. My sire is a fixed woman. She has her fixed ideas and her fixed temperament and her fixed world, which is still very much of itself. You've seen inside her house. I do not think that she feels in her heart that the Holy Roman Empire is gone. She still lives in this bubble of her own control,
Hmm.
and therefore cannot learn from evolution. Adapting to new surroundings is difficult for her.
She just nods. Very well. And for the next hour at least, Madeline will change topic and
Mm-hmm.
style. It will be teaching in, well, actually two disciplines at once. One will be teaching in how to use the power to empower your blows and to improve your striking, and one will be in how to use the blood to absorb those blows. The two will spar in hand-to-hand combat. Um,
Yeah, you learn from this that, which something you probably already know, is that Thorvald is very naturally strong.
hmm,
So potence would only enhance it. But I think off the top of my head, without checking my character sheet, I think he has a natural strength of 4. He is, and the sturdy merit, which gives me an extra health level, I believe. He is, he's naturally formidable. So learning and adapting to these disciplines, I very much doubt will be difficult for him.
Hmm. And again, you watch this beautiful woman that just almost seems to revel every time you hit her, and doesn't really seems to want you to hold back. And she just takes a couple of like times where she just gets absolutely floored, but yeah, she doesn't seem to mind it at all. She just smiles, gets up again, and it almost seems maybe not to excite her, but to be fairly natural to her. Like she almost seems happy about it. And again, not like she's taking pleasure in it, but it's well, that's another lesson. Oh, I won't do that again. It's almost kind of like that. As she keeps going, and after like some time, she will just say, "Well, I do believe we can take a little pause. Quite well, you are remarkable. Mm. This will only improve you, I believe."
I've been fighting in pits since I was 12.
Mm. It is a rare enough thing to find someone who has suffered more than me. But when one does, one must fully embrace it. One must truly take stock.
I've been meaning to speak to Johanna and apologise for my outburst yesterday evening.
What outburst?
Uh, I find I found the Master of Bones' open derision of her practices distasteful.
Hmm.
You welcome someone into your home. You do not disrespect them.
Hmm. Well,
Whatever your personal beliefs may be, I do not believe in God. However, she is our host, and she is a woman worthy of respect.
hmm. I have done well. If the discussion comes up, I will not hide my own opinions. I did not yesterday, but it is correct. It is good, well, better manners as to not openly ridicule someone. Me and Joanna have talked about it on length with each other. God, I was once the cloistered sister. It is why I go by Sister Madeline.
He raises his eyebrows.
Franken. Franken cloister.
Mm. It seems to please him, though. After his eyebrows fall, there's a sort of satisfied smile on his face.
I was, in a small way, blessed. I was given to the convent, probably at birth, I believe, as far as I know. I was learned to read and write. I was, every other night, beaten by the Mother Superior, a sadistic bitch, by her own right. Her lot in life to be fat and ugly was taken out on pretty much everyone, especially me as I grew more and more beautiful each day. I was the bride of Jesuit, as all cloistered sisters are. But, and she just looks at him. Please, sit. I am truly sorry I do not wish to bore you.
I like to hear you speak.
Hmm. Well, then I will not be held responsible for the consequences. She smiles as she continues. Well, then, there was a boy. He and his father, and his family, delivered certain things that the monastery could not maintain itself. Certain things. The occasional wine when we ran out. Certain animals, produce that we could not grow ourselves. The boy was farm boy, fetching. My age. I talked with him. He was charming. He was strong. But he was also one of the only men I had ever seen, talked to. We spent more time together, even though I shouldn't. I was derided by the others. And then I lost my innocence to him. I became pregnant, and I was kicked out of the monastery. I begged, was beaten, abused, starved, ravaged by men, noble knights, noble lords. They all took their turns. I gave birth, slaved away, sold myself many times to feed myself and the child. I gave birth. I thought I would die. I didn't. I gave the child away as I was giving away myself. I was abused more. One vicious man after the other. One took me in and, well, well, one night he sold my services to a passing, well, dignitary. Well, I was on the verge of death. I had not eaten in a long time. Beaten. Do you know what this man said to me?
Gilwood shakes his head.
He asked me what a waste it was that I was. He could see beauty in me. beautiful but wasteful. And then I quoted him in perfect Latin several quotes from the Bible that I thought either would please him or would give me solace, even though they gave me no solace. He was surprised. We spent the most of that night talking. And then my would-be master, who had just given me some, well, scraps of bread and hmm, taken me into, prostitute me to death whenever I was spent, was ripped apart by the traveling merchant, dignitary, who took me in, my sire. He nursed me back to health. I was his ghoul for some time, a year or so. I became stronger. I've regained my full mm, natural beauty. I did not look like a corpse. My lips were full again. But I began to realize, in him and in others, when I was in the convent, the reason I had been so weak when I came out was that I have been shielded for so many failures. Yes, I have been beaten, sure. But all of the failures, all of the pains, all of the harsh lessons I had been shielded from. I have been kept in check because I wanted, well, safety, I suppose. But they wanted me weak. So they kept me from learning harsh lessons. My sire wanted me to be subservient to him, serve in his path. He enjoyed having me around. It made hunting all the more easier. I met someone, another kindred, not too far from Greece. Still in Byzantine, but not too far from here, but, well, they taught me the truth. I found what I was looking for. I broke with my sire. He was not happy, but I made my way to Edessa. Well, after a couple of years, but I did warn you. You got me started talking, and I gave you an out, but now I have told you how I came to this city.
Throughout her story, he listens.
Suffering of a different kind,
Hmm.
but I understand what some of the worst things in this life is. You, you I have taken as my student, because I believe you have seen quite visibly, quite literally, a very different but likewise brutal, harsh, and perhaps one of the worst aspects of this world. And this, I understand, better than most, makes you strong.
I had a son. He did not live. When my sire was human, or what I later to be found, Gould, we she began her occasional visits when I was 13. I think I may have been barely past my 16th when she'd become pregnant. But her husband was aware that it was not his child. She had refuted him in the bedchamber for many years. When the child was born, he had the child thrown over a cliff. I did not see.
A crime. Honestly. And as you're talking about this, you can see that at least one solitary tear of blood just forms in the corner of her eye. And she just very quickly just tries to get it away.
My sire was distraught by this, as any mother would be. She's always been cold, but not entirely unfeeling to her own blood. I believe she begged her master to make her. And returned for her husband's blood in turn of her son's. Revenge was sought, and his house was burned to the ground. The slaves were freed, but one.
Does she blame you?
No. For a long time, I travelled with her, child myself, enamoured of her in my own childish way. But as I grew, this she became less and less. But the blood bond kept our alliance intact. I cannot tell you how many years passed. When I was finally made, it was a mistake. You will not see her. I have my sire's true love is a noble girl, Lucretia. She was the intended child. She worked for years to get permission to embrace. And Lucretia was the intended target. A creature of my sire's own making. Beautiful, wise, cutting, perfect for politics. However, a series of unfortunate events, humiliations, forced Messiah into a frenzy in which I was the target, and blood was spilled and exchanged in the grips of death. I was made. And by the time that die was cast, there was no reversal. She could not beg the favour twice. And whatever remnants of feeling she had for me, for the child that we had once, kept her from destroying me. But she's made it her mission to keep me unrecognised, in the sense that I am not known as a man of equal standing. She wishes to keep the power between us as it was, even though things have changed.
Hmm. The fact that she took revenge, that she does not blame you, I must admit, makes me look at her with a lot more respect. Thank you for telling me this. I have only recently, well, it is stupid. And she just kind of shakes her head and just,
Please, tell me if you wish.
my son, he lived. He got a wife. And he had children. And he died. His wife died. And his children moved on. I have kept tabs on him. His family still lives in Franken, far away. I wish that you could have had something like that.
I would not have wished him to live the life that I lived. She would have not been a good mother to him. He would have had many riches, likely much power, but no love. Not the kind of love a boy needs to become a good man.
Mm.
I fear she may have made a monster out of him.
Well, I agree. I am. I would say that it is possible for someone who has not shown love of this world to become a very, very good man. As she looks at you, and she just gets up, or it gets closer, and just kind of points at you with a smile.
He smiles. He turns his head and kisses her fingertip.
She just smiles, looks down at him, and just enjoys it.
Mm.
Alas, if the two of us have met as mortals, what beautiful babies we would have had.
You feel him smile on your skin. His head sort of turned into your palm.
She kind of cups it with both hands and just makes him like look at her. And as she does, she will just kiss him, and she will just enjoy it, hold it for quite some time. As she parts, she will just say, "Well, I hope that our nights together will be quite a few, and that this trouble will go away so that we can learn together."
If the fates permit. I never wish to stop learning.
That is the right attitude. She smiles very warmly.
There's a sense of contentment about him that you've seen slightly more and more recently.
Contempt or
Contentment, sort of.
yeah, okay, yeah, like
And when Thorvald stands, when his general body language is very um at attention, very tense. But in these sort of moments they have, you feel that all sort of ebb away into a content feeling of security, happiness.
mm,
I think that's a good place to end the scene.
yes, the two will. As the scene ends, Madeline will lead Torvald, I think, to a more private place where they will.
Yes.
Madeline seems also quite relaxed as she makes clear, or have made clear, that she wishes to really enjoy these nights, these moments. And as they go to a more secluded place, we will close our scene. Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.